Alright, it has been a while in the making. Haven't made a video in a long time. I've actually had this for quite a decent amount of time. This is basically the run-of-the-mill AliExpress rear set kit for the 2016. As you can see, got the bike kind of propped up, rear stand, and took the belly pan off. That is basically just an old pair of jeans, but underneath that is jack stand. So what I'm hoping for is that I can keep all this in place, because once I pull this bolt here, the swing arm will be pretty much loose. So got to be kind of quick, hope that it's stable, and don't run into any issues. I've had these bolts out before, haven't had any problems getting everything put in, but might be a little bit more complicated because, you know, there's a couple of other random pieces and stuff to consider. So now with this, obviously it comes with both sides. These feel pretty good. There's some decent weight to them. Nice fasteners, no complaints there. You can still see kind of the tooling marks there. Overall, not bad. I have these kind of loose fit. There's a lot of bolt holes in this. Now I know that I don't think all of these are used, so, but then again, some of them are probably for behind. One of these is, I think it is this one. Let me see here. Nope, this is for this side. This one is for the brake side, I believe. Nope. Let me see here. No, that's clutch side. Oh yeah. This would go like this. So this is the brake side. So I do know that for this, obviously there's extra provisions because you have to mount the rear brake cylinder, master cylinder back. So that'll mount somewhere on here, which we'll get to that at some point. Biggest issue that I had originally, I had a couple of them. I actually partially disassembled the bike a while back. The issue I was running into was these. So these, I went ahead and just ordered them, and I can put the part number in a little bit later on, but these little castle nuts, those actually go inside of here. And essentially what ends up happening is when you tighten these down, they take up slack against the frame, and it helps kind of tighten things up. There's a big nut that goes over that, which is here. That basically just slides in, right? And that goes against the main swing arm bolt here and applies pressure inward to tighten these up. My originals, which I have one here, I attempted to remove it, and I don't really have the right tool to do it, and I was afraid of damaging it in the event that I ever needed to put these back on. So I just left it in there. I was like, you know what, I'll keep it in there. They're already set where they need to be, and I'll order another set. No big deal, except it took, 20 years for KTM World to actually send it. So thanks, KTM World, I appreciate it. The other issue I was having was rod length. This is what I originally was running because I have my quick shifter set up. This is what comes in it, or comes with it, which is probably fine if you don't have a quick shifter. So that didn't work. I had this from before with my original setup, which is too long. And this is what, I can't remember, was it Rottweiler? One of the companies that I ordered my quick shifter from said that this was the right unit to use, and they were completely wrong, so that didn't work. So now, because of that, I have this giant collection of rod ends, so that's great. So if they ever need any, I've got plenty to use, so move those out the way for now. So with that being said, I'm going to shift this out, move this over. So, got fasteners here. There's a number of different adapters and stuff. These are the pegs. They seem okay. They're fixed point pegs. The originals don't have fixed point. They're kind of spring loaded, but I do know that there are options that people have added on in order to have a spring loaded setup. I haven't quite looked at that just yet, but at some point I will. And then these are obviously the little shift boot things, right? Now, I was originally running the KTM Power Parts version. And I'm probably going to put this on again. We'll see. It has a really nice bearing. The only thing that's kind of making me debate between the two is that one, I think this weighs more than this one, which I mean, I guess that's not that big of a deal. Less adjustability because as you can see, it's got multiple adjustment points. And where this one does have 3 here, but you know, it's only got 1 in the back on this side. And it'll be mix matched. So obviously I'll have, you know, this cast unit on this side, whereas on the other side I'll have that one. So it might look a little weird. So I don't know, maybe I'll just hold on to this, set it off to the side for now. In the event that anything ever happens to this, I can swap it out because they're pretty much the same length overall, but obviously this sits right about this middle hole is what it looks like. So yeah, more to follow on that. Okay, so I'll walk you through a couple steps because obviously I started this a while back. When you first get started, if you've got a cage, remove the cage. Pretty simple on that part. I remove the belly pan. There's 6 number 10 bolts on the bottom, and then 2 in the front right up here. That pops out of the way, and then you can obviously go ahead and get this jacked up. The kickstand, 2 bolts. I let the sensor plugged in. I've never had any issues with it. I just don't feel like messing with it, and I didn't really see a reason for it. This does obviously mount to the new one, but we'll get to that when we need to. Big thing for that one, definitely would use Loctite. It's very common for people to lose their bolts on that one, so I'm going to use Loctite on that. A little bit curious to see fitment. Make sure there's no... Alright, sorry about that. Yeah, so curious to see about fitment with this, mainly because I definitely had to do a little bit of trimming on here, if you guys remember correctly, down here. So hopefully there's no effect on that. So when you do this, there's a couple of bolts that are right here. These 2 have to be removed. You can see the spacer, it's kind of dangling there. You have that chain guard, and you're gonna have, so basically one of these is this bolt here that pops out, and one of these is a through bolt all the way from the other side, which is actually this one. Now this one definitely had some rust through it. I took the nut out and ran it all the way through here as best I could, and then actually cleaned this up with a little bit of sandpaper. What I'm probably going to end up doing is just greasing this up, and I'll throw it all back in there, and that should be good. Grease should provide enough protection for it and help it to not corrode, but it wasn't too bad. It definitely looked like a little bit of surface rust, but as you can see, not too bad. So revisiting the topic on these castle nuts, again, I thought my theory on this is that these feel like they are stainless castle nuts, and I'm pretty sure the originals rear set are aluminum. So I'm guessing with the amount of time that they've been in there, that it's more than likely some corrosion that's going on between the two, because it's dissimilar metal that's probably kind of locking those in. So I didn't have the right tools again, and rather than spending an insane amount of time possibly destroying both pieces, I just went ahead and ordered a new one and called it a day. So in your case, you know, it might be something to consider, and it might be something to look at on your end. Oh, this is, I just realized this is the nut that actually, or the piece that goes in here. Okay, So that's pretty much where we're at right now. The phase that I'm currently at is pull this out, pull the other side out, slip this new one in, and throw these back on so I can get them in the right position. Now this one I want to say goes on this side. As you can see, it's angled, but that's mainly due to the fact that this right here is the mount for the kickstand. Now, if you remember, or you may not, on the original right here, as you can see, it's similar to that. It's angled for your kickstand on purpose, right? So I will end up slapping it on. That'll go here. And with that being said, we're going to use blue Loctite on pretty much all of these fasteners so that they don't come out. So that's where we're at for this right now. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and get a little bit of work on this, pull some of this stuff out, and then we'll do an update here in a little bit. All right, folks, as you can see, we've made progress. I got a majority of this all put together. This is kind of the stuff you're left over with afterwards, just to kind of show you. So looking online, from what I've been able to gather, this piece here, this is specifically for the OEM unit here. I have an aftermarket one, so I don't have to worry about that one. This is the shift rod that they give you. Obviously mine required a shorter one. And I have no idea what these are for. Looking online, have not been able to see anything on them. I don't know if maybe it's something for the RC390, but I got everything lined up without it, so I don't know. Just gonna pretend like that's not there because all of this is put together. So back to where we are here. As you can see, everything's together. There's basically 3 plates, 1, 2, 3, and then you have this part here. Now, when you go to tighten this plate down, these are basically like the swing arm bolts, right? They're freaking huge. They are, you'll tighten down this plate, but you don't be surprised if this is loose. This is a flange here, but that flange isn't necessarily connected through here. Slightly different, and so this could be loose. All of these bolts, take every one of these bolts out, every single one, and put blue Loctite on them, all of them, including these, right? Now, obviously mine's different. Ignore the fact that I haven't tightened these. I still haven't fully adjusted this stuff to exactly where I want, but at some point, I'll get that figured out. Tighten this up before you put this plate on. That'll make your life a little bit easier because the bolt's back here, not a lot of access. So if you look at the order of things right back here, we've got this OEM unit here that stays in place. You're going to have the chain guard here, which is going to be extremely dirty. So when you pull it up, make sure you clean it up. Then you're going to have this bracket here. I see how it's angled. That's for your kickstand. Make sure you reuse your kickstand bolts and then blue Loctite those. Now, what you are going to see is that earlier in the video, we talked about these castellated nuts that are in here that are supposed to be to kind of help with spacing and everything else. I actually ended up having to retract mine almost all the way. When I had them set to close to what the OEM setup was, that made it to where this plate was sticking out pretty far. But then when I noticed back here, there was a gap between here and this one. So you're going to use the castellated nut and rotate it in order to allow for proper fitment with this bracket back here, this bottom one. Okay. Once you get this lined up, I tighten down this one first. Again, hand tight because this is 70 foot-pounds. I tightened this one down and then verified, make sure the gap was good back here. Once the gap was good, then I tightened these down and all this stuff was good to go. So very important, keep that in mind, okay? Now let's circle over to the other side. There's a few more challenges with this side because I have an exhaust to contend with and everything else, right? So this side, again, same thing, right? So go through, tighten all these down, every one of them. But you want to make sure all this stuff is loose, and use blue Loctite and all that stuff too as well. And when I say loose, I'm referring to fitting, right? Anytime you do anything like this, you always want to go through, make sure that you got it loosely fit, not 100% tightened down just yet until you get everything in the right position. So, mounting plate, this is a little bit different. If you look back here, let me get you back here. So, okay, so OEM plate, then you have these longer bits here, okay? That's what connects to here, the main plate in the front. There's going to be two of them. Now, circling back to the front, you're going to have, obviously, the brake lever, right? Again, I've not really adjusted any of this stuff. And then this comes in place, Loctite, tighten this down, Loctite, and then the brake master cylinder, okay? The brake master cylinder is generally facing horizontally like this. This kit, you rotate it close to vertical, okay? Now, that's important because you have to make sure you get everything lined up and set up. And that was actually extremely important for my setup because, as you can see, there's a bit of an elephant in the room, okay? This is my exhaust bracket. Now I have the MIVV GP exhaust. This bracket normally sits like this, and it shares the mount with this unit. Now obviously that's a bit of a problem because normally it mounts like this, but that's no longer there. However, the good thing is that it just happens to be that this bolt lines up exactly where it needs to be. Generally speaking, there was, I think more spacers involved or something, right? But I mean, it doesn't get any more perfect than this, right? I just got to clean this up a little bit. It goes straight up and it's got a bolt hole just like this. I'm going to go through, trace this out, and then cut this bracket right here. And I mean, seriously, like that doesn't get any better than what we have right there, considering this scenario, right? I would venture to say that this is probably going to be more supportive because of the angle that it's at, rather than the fact that it was just sitting at a, almost horizontal, holding this bracket up, right? So unfortunate, but fortunate because it worked out. So I will get that resolved at some point soon, and then we'll get that going. Now, looking at the rest of this, right? So you're going to see when you remove this plunger, and I think I showed it to you before, but originally it had this piece in there, right? And basically a bolt went through it. As you can see, that gets removed. Oh, there's a pin. This pin here. That pin gets removed. And then you're going to take this plunger, and it comes with an eyelet already. You thread it in there. Now, again, I might have to make some adjustments to this, but that's fairly easy. You just, it's threaded rod. You'll thread it out, right? So I'll get to that at some point in the future, but for now, that's kind of where we're at. But there's a bolt that goes through here. You'll see this medium length spacer. And then I put a washer on the other side of this along with a lock nut. I went ahead and did blue Loctite with that as well. This is just doing a wiggle test, right? Back and forth. It's solid. There's no issues at all. Alignment's good, right? Can't complain about that. So cut this off. Should be good. Now we're going to get underneath this thing because there's some things we got to look at from underneath, right? I'm going to circle around over here. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Right up through here, there's a bolt that comes through, okay? This bolt is usually on the rear set when you get it. You got to pull your spring off of your original unit, and then there's a bolt that goes through. Loctite that into place, and there's a locking nut, right? This spring is what causes this to come back up. You can see how it pivots and it pulls it up, and then I saw another guy that had up here, I've got a bolt coming through here. Another guy seemed to have put a long bolt from the other side with a locking nut. I just used a bolt and again, blew Loctite, held it in place. And as you can see, good to go, right? So no issues here. Hopefully everything holds together fine. So other than that, we will talk about ease of installation real fast. I don't want to make this too long because obviously, I've had some people kind of complain about that in the past. So ease of installation, not too bad. I didn't have to rig anything crazy up, right? I had my stand here, and then over here I had a my jack with a pair of denim pants on it, and I literally just jacked up from the engine here, and I was able to easily swap all of this out and keep everything within a line with each other without having to do anything crazy at all. So because I've seen some people that in the past they've done crazy things hanging off their roofs and everything like that, right? Wasn't necessarily required for this, so that wasn't too bad. So ease on installation, not too bad. Removing all the old stuff, because I have a different exhaust, wasn't too bad either. The fact that these do come off in sections is kind of nice, just because the fact that, like, if you forget to tighten this down, for example, right, you can easily just undo these bolts and then you can get to it, rather than having to remove this entire thing as a unit. So that's convenient because it's ease of use, you know what I mean? The adjustability, lots of adjustability for the, all throughout various points to include the other side. So that part's nice. It's a nice looking unit. Maybe at some point after I've ridden on it for a little while, I'll give you an impression and let you know, kind of like a short 5-minute video on any gripes or complaints. Very, very easy. Did take some time because I did have to kind of order the shift rod, right? Because obviously the other shift rod was not the right length. And then, I still have a little bit of work to do here and there. So overall though, I mean, less than $90, I think, is what it cost. And the main argument that you hear is, okay, well, good luck on if you ever need parts to replace anything on it or anything like that, right? The OEM shift legs, or at least the one that I have for the other side, that's not a problem. I have a fairly decent experience buying bike parts from my actual mountain bikes and gravel bikes and stuff like that from AliExpress. So I wasn't super worried about it. What I will say is I did try to order it in this colorway once, and the seller canceled it. And then I waited, and eventually, as you do on AliExpress, you find the right deal, and then you find a good coupon code, and then order it, and it'll come in. So it does take about anywhere from a month to 2 months sometimes, right? So you have to plan accordingly because of that. That wasn't that big of a deal for me. So that's a deal breaker to you. I get it. I have no problems waiting. But overall, great looking kit. Everything looks good. It feels solid, right? I mean, this is arguably the thinnest piece on it, right? So I'm happy with the kit so far. I'll let you guys know here in the future how it holds up. If you got any other questions, if you get stuck on installation, just let me know, and then I'll definitely try to help you out as best I can. But we'll see. I'll get some miles in, and then as I always do, I'm moving next month. So I'm moving back to Rhode Island. So that's gonna be fun. We'll see how that goes. So if you're in Rhode Island, look me up or hit me up, and then maybe we can get together and wrench or something. All right. Other than that, that's all I got. Feel free to leave any comments below if you got questions, like I said, and just let me know. That's it.